On this episode of the Rocklopedia Fake Bandica, there are some of you out there that feel we are living in a dystopian nightmare, and we're here to assure you that at least there are still fake bands in dystopian nightmares.
Yay!
On the 77th anniversary of George Orwell's 1984, we look at the fictional musicians that keep on rocking in the not-so-free world. This is the Rocklopedia Fake Bandica. Welcome to the Rocklopedia Fake Bandica. I'm Charles. There's Alan.
Got my rat cage on my face and I'm ready to go.
And there's T-Mike.
All hail Big Brother.
And we're going to look at dystopian worlds and, like a flower poking through a crack in a parking lot, the fake bands that still manage to exist somehow. But before we completely bum out our listeners, do we have any news to discuss? T-Mike, any emails?
Yes, we have an email.
We have an email.
Yes,
That's
unfortunately,
exciting.
it's a little bit older, and I missed. I somehow got lost in the shuffle of my email, so it's from like a month ago.
What?
About our
How much?
April Fool's episode. So this is on me. It's my bad.
Okay.
All right. You caused me to break up with my boyfriend.
That's the title?
Yes, this is from Wendy from Colorado.
Wait, what?
Okay, so I am the girl, Wendy from Colorado, who wrote you several weeks ago about the show Double Trouble.
Oh, right.
Oh.
And your apparent April Fool's joke. So the story goes
Apparent
deeper.
April Fool's joke.
The
I worked hard on that. That was a good one.
The story goes deeper than me just not listening to the entire episode.
Okay.
So you referenced Nick from Colorado.
Right.
He is my boyfriend, and we both listen to the show, not always at the same time.
Oh, I appreciate that.
So he comes home from work one day and asks me if I remember this band that was on a bunch of NBC shows, one of which was Double Trouble.
Which is what you're supposed to do. And it was like part of the prank.
No.
Okay.
I was like, I remember that episode, but it was The Police, not some BS band. So I immediately, without listening to the episode myself, started passionately writing an email to you guys to tell you about the error, which we did get, and I think we read that.
Oh, I love it.
And we even called it. I think that she had it was like so.
Yeah, she had not
wrapped up in
finished the
passion,
episode.
She didn't
Clearly,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Then a few days later, he tells me he listened to the end of the podcast, and it was an April Fool's gag.
Oh.
I was livid and so embarrassed.
Oh, it worked.
He came home today to inform me that you had read my email. I was so furious with him that I broke up with him. We were together 9 years. We were together 9 years.
No,
This is just unforgivable. Oh, and I'm from Michigan originally, so if you want, you can call me Wendy from Michigan.
I have a lot of feels. Are we done with the email?
Feel free to read this email on your podcast as a cautionary tale. Make sure you listen to the entire podcast before you tell your girlfriend about it. Love the show, and you guys, Wendy.
Yes,
from Michigan.
Well, no, okay. We got some things to discuss with this.
Yes.
One,
I'm like, I have a sad.
I'm very happy that the April Fool's joke worked.
Yeah, that's good.
And if nothing else, it tells you that you have to stay current and listen to the whole show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can't just be like behind, and you have to stay on top of it and listen immediately.
Is that a special message for all the people who are still listening to the old rerun Star Wars show that we did? That
Oh my gosh. It's like it's one of the most popular episodes we've ever had. Is a rerun of what we did 2 years ago.
People, they loves the Star Wars.
And
what are you
then
gonna
that
do?
new Star Wars we did, no one's listened to it. Okay, so you got to stay on top of it.
yeah.
9 years, we just destroyed it over a joke. Hopefully, we could try to patch this up. If since they're both listeners.
I don't know. Maybe this was like the last straw for some like undercurrent
I don't
of
think
trouble.
I'm not giving up on love.
It's time for a grand gesture. If there's a grand gesture this podcast
Yeah.
can do, maybe we can do a special bespoke podcast for them.
Sure,
To figure it out, to bring them back together.
All
we
right,
should sign up for like Cameo, and we could do like a cameo video of us holding up a boombox playing fake band songs outside of their window.
Say anything reference.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, we have to bring up some parts about it. One, she can't be Wendy from Michigan. She's not in Michigan. You said she's originally from Michigan. She can't be Wendy originally from Michigan, because then Dan from Australia is Dan originally from the UK.
That's
it's
true.
where you are.
But since they've split up, do they have to split? Is
That's why
Colorado a community property state?
I don't know if it's a 50-50 one, but we should make it that way.
Okay.
So we have Wendy from Colo and Nick from Rado.
So I'm saying we split it right down the middle, and we'll have Nick from West Colorado and Wendy from East Colorado.
Well, maybe Wendy should pick. Which
I don't know enough about Colorado to know which side is the good side.
Nick gets the Rockies. Wendy gets Denver and Colorado Springs, Boulder. You know, the population centers.
Okay.
Those are hers, but he gets the Rockies,
And the
skiing
stuff.
all the skiing resorts.
Now, if they want to swap, they can.
Aspen, does he get Aspen?
Yeah, I think he gets Aspen.
Right.
So they have to contact us, and we have to do the swapping. They can't just swap on their own.
Okay.
But right now, it's going to be Nick from West Colorado, Wendy from East Colorado. But maybe we can get those Colorado kids back together.
Yeah. Well.
If I know anything about Nick and Wendy, that was a love for the ages.
And if there's nothing else, April Fool's joke worked. I want to get
This is Charles's takeaway.
This is important.
Love this man. This is important to him.
Yeah.
Worked so hard on it. This, all right. If the relationship, is unsalvageable because of it, it was worth it.
Wow.
Damn, brother.
Okay, I do want to mention we had the American Music Awards recently, and Huntrix, of course, still racking up awards.
Oh, yeah, K-pop Demon Hunters.
Is American Music Award, that's like the Golden Globes? Is it like, who gives the American Music Awards out?
I want to say it's Billboard, but I'm not positive.
Okay.
I'm not positive because, and also I don't know if it's really the American Music Awards because BTS was the band of the year, and there's so many Korean, so much K-pop through it. It might just been the Korean Music Awards, and then we just had it here in Las Vegas. But so Huntrix,
apparently, the American Music Awards were created by Dick Clark.
Oh,
well, there you go.
Wow.
So Golden won Song of the Year. Best Vocal Performance, and K-pop, the band Huntrix won Breakthrough Pop Artist Award.
Even though they're not real.
the artists who did it, they counted them as real. And the K-pop Demon Hunter soundtrack won the Best Soundtrack Award.
Oh,
so
they're racking it up, man.
They still are. They still are.
Out of nowhere, these guys came.
Alan, have you seen it yet? No.
So let's move on to the next topic.
Man.
I am supposed to see it because Eliza wants to see it, and I seeing how she gets scared easily, so I was going to
there are some scary. There's some scary.
I told her that might
bits.
be too scary for
There
her.
are some.
Okay.
She got kind of scared. The skeletal Bowser in the most recent Mario Brothers movie was enough to like kind of scare her. I didn't carry her out of the theater, so she was really upset by that. So yeah.
Okay, so we're going to talk about dystopian bands.
Yes.
I do want to caution the audience that the views of these worlds will be bleak and hellish. So to counter this, I want to mention a character that survived her own dystopian future and came out of the bunker all smiles. That would be Kimmy Schmidt from the Netflix series The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
Unbreakable, they alive, damn it. It's a miracle. Unbreakable, they alive, damn it. But females are strong and unbreakable, they alive, damn it. It's a miracle. Unbreakable, they alive, damn it. That's gonna be fascinating transition. Damn it.
When it seems all hope is lost in this episode, I'll swoop in with a little bit of fun fake band wholesomeness from the survivor Kimmy Schmidt.
Good idea.
So it seems like, everything's dark. What's going on? Kimmy will come and save the day.
Okay, good.
That's the plan.
All right.
So since today, June 8th, is the 77th anniversary of the book that is now synonymous with dystopian fiction, 1984 by George Orwell, let's start there.
Good idea.
We only have one thing from 1984 because they don't mention that there is the Ministry of Truth. I think does have a big propaganda wing, and they have like departments of music that they churn out stuff for the proles.
Right, and I believe that the single off of it was this, Jump. Oh, that's Van Halen's 1984. I'm sorry, I got mixed up a little bit.
Yeah. Diamond.
This was the book.
It was Big Brother, not Diamond
Dave. It was excellent back then.
It was good. It's a 1949 novel written by the British author George Orwell. I believe it was his last novel, wasn't it?
I think it may have been.
1984 was about this totalitarian state, and basically the world has been divided up into 3 mega states.
And they're all
totalitarian states in different ways. And so and
they're all constantly at war with each other.
Right. So he is in London, which is now part of, basically allied with the United States, and it's up against Eurasia. And then, so Oceania is the name of where he is now. And so it's basically North and South America and
the UK.
And the UK. And then there's Eurasia and then East Asia. And they're constantly fighting battles. And so he's in this totalitarian state.
Did you say Winston Smith?
No, I don't know that his names matter, but okay. Yeah.
Winston Smith is the protagonist. Yeah.
Do you want to do this?
No, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say.
Surveillance state. There's these video screens on the wall that are 2-way, so they can watch you at any point. So it's essentially him playing with the idea of the panopticon. So at any point, they could be watching you as well as you watching it, but you can't turn it off. You can't really mute it, so you can turn it down. And he's very lucky in that his apartment has a place where the view screen can't see him. So his act of rebellion is he gets a notebook from this old junk store and he starts writing this journal and having private thoughts, which is not allowed. And so the themes of it is the ultimate control of the mind. And one of the ways they do it is through language, newspeak. So it's a way of the thought is that if they can pare language down to just the smallest possible increments of meaning, then you can only say certain things. And so it's kind of like a reverse.
Like you could literally eliminate the concept of freedom by not having words for it.
Yeah, it's like a reverse. It's kind of like the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. If you don't have a word for it, you can't think it. He gets involved with this woman. If you've ever seen the famous introduction for the Mac, that's actually a play on 1984. The video where the woman comes in,
the commercial,
So they have the thing like the 2 minutes hate. Where they come in and they have this enemy that Emmanuel Goldstein, who supposedly is the enemy of the party, and the party is headed up by Big Brother, who is the kind of it. This is the whole thing. Big Brother's watching you.
Exactly.
And it's so suffused in our culture. It's kind of hard to avoid it. So anyway, things don't work out well for Winston. Yeah. He ends up with a rat cage strapped to his face. That was the illusion.
Yeah.
And Julia, he turns her in, and he ends up saying, the party is able to destroy love even there. And so it ends up with him just kind of waiting for eventually the armed guards to come in and just take him away. But he's sitting in a little cafe where he had been working, and then he realized that he loved Big Brother. And so it's very bleak.
Yeah.
Bleak story.
Yeah.
Yes.
Basically he's broken by the system.
And so now there's something called versificator, I believe, Mike?
Yeah. So this is a machine that writes the lyrics for this lowest common denominator music that they churn out for the proles.
No, we're not talking Spotify.
Yeah, no. So they try to control the proletariat by giving them a lot of garbage media. Like cheap, sensationalized stuff to keep them entertained, to keep them from being political.
And so the split is the party members and then the proletariats. And this was modeled on Russia,
right?
At the time with Soviet Russia, which was you had the party members, and then you had just kind of the others.
Kind of working class. There's a song that recurs throughout the second half of the novel called "It Was Only a Hopeless Fancy" that was written by the versificator. Actually, somebody recorded a version of it, so we can actually listen to their interpretation.
It was only an hopeless fancy, it passed like an April lie. But a look and a word and the dreams they stirred, they have stolen my heart away. They say that time heals all things, they say you can always forget. But the smiles and the tears across the years, they twist my heartstrings yet.
Here's a direct quote from the book. The tune had been haunting London for weeks past. It was one of those countless similar songs published for the benefit of the proles by a subsection of the music department. The words of these songs were composed without any human intervention whatsoever on an instrument known as a versificator. So it reminds me a lot of AI, frankly. Although it would have been, I guess, mechanical somehow instead of electronic, maybe. since he wrote it in 48.
Yeah, and he started writing it. Apparently, we were looking before, and like he started writing it in 43. So
really?
so this,
Okay.
this has been before transistors.
So that was 1984.
Yes.
1 year later, in 1985, a group of bipartisan pearl clutchers named the Parents Music Resource Center, or PMRC, was created.
Oh, yeah.
The PMRC was founded and led by Tipper Gore, the wife of then Senator Al Gore,
Future Vice President Al Gore.
inventor of the internet, Susan Baker, the wife of the Treasury Secretary James Baker, Pam Hauer, whose husband was a D.C. realtor, and Sally Nevius, who was the wife of former D.C. City Councilman John Nevius. And they received financial backing from Mike Love of the Beach Boys.
What?
And Joseph Coors of the Coors Brewing family.
Yeah,
Man.
Mike Love apparently is not a good guy.
That turncoat. Quisling, I call him.
He held that money.
It is odd, though. It's like we have these fairly well-connected politicians and then the wife of a realtor. Oh, okay.
It's just a bunch of people in D.C. who are like, something's got to be done with this music and everything.
It kind of clicks into the satanic panic, too.
Oh,
Right,
yeah.
And they had, the Beach Boys famously had all their bank accounts in Kokomo. And so that's how you thought it was just a song they were just telling me.
That was just an offshore tax haven.
exactly.
For them.
It's weird because that was one of the big scandals that led to the Interior Secretary Watt stepping down, was because they refused to allow the Beach Boys to play on the National Mall.
Yeah, because he thought they were, not a good influence.
Yeah,
and people were like, the Beach Boys, dude, come on.
And now we know.
Yeah.
Now we know that he was
wasn't
right.
wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so their goal was simple: to save children from the degenerates behind rock and roll and heavy metal and rap. They longed for a better time when kids could listen to songs like Jailhouse Rock from Elvis Presley.
No, which has the,
don't make me start that rant again.
the same sex relationship.
Don't make me start about the prison prom.
Yeah.
Hey, kids, look into our back catalog for our Elvis episode.
Yeah, there you go.
We probably need another Elvis episode.
We probably do.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay, so a few things came out of the PMRC. We got the explicit lyrics warning sticker for albums, instantly making those big hits.
Yeah, you knew what to buy as a kid then.
Because they had the sticker on it. Two, we got a lot more songs referencing the PMRC and Tipper Gore specifically.
Band in the USA.
I'm going to tell you,
that was Two Live Crew?
That was Two Live Crew.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
And then on September 19th, 1985, three distinct singers stood up in front of Congress to speak out against censorship. Dee Snider from Twisted Sister.
My new neighbor.
Is he?
Yeah, he moved to Greensboro. He actually lives
what?
He lives in, I think in Summerfield or Greensboro, right now. Yeah, he moved here, kind of retired here. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Damn.
People have seen him in the grocery store. It's like, oh, hey.
After the email from Wendy and now this fact, we might as well stop the show down. We're not going to beat this.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so Greensboro's own Dee Snider, John Denver.
Ooh,
wow.
Nice.
And with maybe the best defense of them all, Frank Zappa.
I actually remember seeing his testimony on C-SPAN as if it was on the news.
Yeah,
That happened.
They still show clips of his account.
Yeah. He actually sampled it and turned it into a whole album afterward.
Oh wow.
Yeah, see a note there. He has a connection to the Monkees.
Yeah, he was briefly in their feature film called Head.
Oh wow.
And, he has 3 or 4 lines. That's it.
Okay. But for Frank Zappa, this was not his first time decrying a dystopian world, because in 1979, he released his 3-part rock opera, Joe's Garage.
Yeah, it was 2 albums, and then later they released it as a box set with all 3 albums.
I remember it as 2 cassettes.
Okay.
I had it as 2 cassettes.
Could be. The album is narrated by the creepy Central Scrutinizer,
Right.
who frames the story as a cautionary tale for you, the listener.
I bring you now a special presentation to show what can happen to you if you choose a career in music.
So Joe's Garage is about, anybody guess?
Joe.
Yes!
Mr. Garage.
Oh. Joe is our protagonist. He's a rock guitarist. He's portrayed by singer-guitarist Ike Willis in the opera. Joe starts out practicing in his garage with his friends, playing an unpretentious, likable 3-chord song.
It wasn't very large. There was just enough room to cram the drums in the corner over by the Dodge. It was a 54 with a mashed up door and a cheesy little amp, with a sign on the front said Fender Champ and a second-hand guitar. It was a Stratocaster with a whammy bar.
The guys form an unnamed band.
Boo.
But
They picked out a stupid name.
we do know that. We at least know that from the lyrics that they had a name and it was stupid.
We could say that they picked out a stupid name as their band name.
Yeah, well,
if they're not going to name them, it's up to us to name them.
That's true.
I feel confident we could call Joe's band a stupid name.
I think we show the stupid names because that kind of fits that 50s style of writing.
Joe and the stupid names. We could do that.
That could work, yeah.
I don't know. Actually, a stupid name is not a bad band name.
You're right, Alan.
It has kind of a certain ratio feel about it.
All right. So anyway, the band ends up playing the local go-go club, and they somehow get signed by a company, and they're promised success, but nothing happens, and so they break up. Then Joe gets a girlfriend named Mary.
Right.
But one night, she's doing sexual...
Well, the police come by to break up their
that's true. You're
original
right.
stuff and tells them to go to church and church-related activities where he meets Mary with the same thing.
Right, who's supposedly a nice Catholic girl at the church youth organization. Joe becomes girlfriend-boyfriend with Mary, but then we find out one night she's out doing sexual favors to get backstage at a Toad-O concert.
Well, that's a real band, though.
No, not Toto. Toad, like a frog, -O.
Are you sure? Did you see something about this? That
It's spelled out in the lyrics.
I just remember listening to it. I always just thought he just mumbled. I thought it was Toto. Kind of thing.
Well,
Just like he was like throwing out the name.
It's deliberately supposed to sound like because apparently it's a reference to the real band.
But he does spell it out Toad-O.
Toto, in the lyrics,
Okay.
It is, It is, apparently they were known for like being like rowdy behind backstage. I didn't know, like
That's
Toto.
crazy.
I wouldn't have thought, but yeah.
Like,
we could check the Urban Dictionary for what the rains in Africa mean then.
Oh dear, I don't want to know. In the rock opera, they're a big famous rock group, and a couple of the songs feature Toad-O's sleazy road crew, especially roadie Larry Finoga. That was a name that was an occasional pseudonym of a Zappa musician named Jim Sherwood. Larry is voiced by Zappa himself. Larry used to be a member of Joe's band.
There's so much. Is this all from the lyrics and everything? Or just from the written lyrics?
No. There's also, I got confused too for a bit, but then I went back and there's liner notes between the songs that give a little more detail.
I was going to say, I listened to this album on cassette a lot. I don't remember any of this kind of stuff.
Yeah, no. So anyway, Larry used to be a member of Joe's band, and then now he and the other guys in the road crew have blues jam sessions on Toad-O's equipment, and Larry sings and plays harmonica. Larry also lures girls into sexual acts with the promise of meeting the band. Mary stays with the band as a, quote, crew slut with an accompanying song of the same title and abandons Joe. And then the band abandons Mary in Miami when she gets too tired to do their laundry. She enters a wet t-shirt contest for money to get home. And at the contest, the song about the contest, we meet Warren, who has become one of the foremost disco fusion rhythm guitar players on the wet t-shirt circuit.
There was a lot of information in these liner notes that did not come out in the song.
Yeah.
It's true. Warren is also a former member of Joe's band.
What?
With Larry, yeah. That's also in the liner notes. Warren also wrote Joe a letter telling him about Mary's exploits, and now Joe is heartbroken, and he falls in with a fast crowd and a loose girl named Lucille, who gives him a venereal disease. So he breaks up with her, and now he's kind of mixed up. So he pays a lot of money to L. Ron Hoover to join the First Church of Appliantology, which is a very obvious parody of L. Ron Hubbard and the unfortunately real Church of Scientology. Yeah. So the Church of Appliantology basically gives people sexual fetishes for appliances. That's their whole thing. That's what they do.
Yes, that's it.
And somehow they're connected to the government. So it's unclear.
Okay, so they were like, that would have been the shtick of the Presbyterians, I think, before the 1674 split. I think
Episcopalians.
Episcopalians.
Yes.
Okay, is this pre-Vatican II? Then I think.
So,
yeah. Okay. Anyway.
Before it's not the famous Vatican II. It's a different Vatican II involving appliances.
Now Joe goes to clubs and he hooks up with a XQJ 37 pansexual rotopluker, which looks like, quote, a cross between an industrial vacuum cleaner and a chrome piggy bank with marital aids stuck all over its body, unquote.
Yes.
He accidentally breaks it, and he can't pay the government to fix or replace it, so he ends up in prison, where he meets, it's a special prison for musicians and music industry criminals.
Oh, right, because everybody in music is bad.
Oh, yeah.
It's terrible. It leads
the whole
the youth astray.
Yeah, exactly.
And so we have a special prison
for them.
For these degenerates.
Exactly.
These people who are either musicians or the people promoting these musicians.
Exactly. So
where they belong.
Right. And then in the prison is a guy who used to be a promo man for a major record company named Bald-Headed John. He gets a whole song to himself. So John gets a song and Joe gets raped in prison. A lot. And when he finally gets out of prison...
I'm out at last. Boy, the world sure looks different. Wow, there's hardly anything fun to do since they made music illegal. But I'm hooked. I got to have it. I've got to have it. I need to play. But there's no musicians anymore. They're all gone.
The liner notes further describe this dystopian landscape here.
If you just listen to the album, I mean, it's still bleak, but there's so much of that. Like, where is this coming from?
Yeah. All right. So Joe wanders through the world, which by then has been totally epoxied over, carefully organized, with everyone reporting daily to his or her appointed place in a line somewhere in front of a window somewhere in a building somewhere in order to collect his or her welfare check, which, when cashed, made it possible for the young ones to continue the payments for the obsolete and irreparable appliances their parents had purchased on the installment plan years ago, providing as security the future incomes of their children. The rest of these checks were used by the young recipients to buy fun things of their own on credit, most of which broke down or failed within moments of purchase and seemed to be stacking up everywhere.
It's like the Wall-E world.
So anyway, music is now illegal, and there's no more musicians.
Good.
And now, despite this, though, Joe dreams up so many imaginary guitar notes, he sings a whole song about how awful rock journalists are, even though they don't exist either now.
They're probably in a special prison. They're the Supermax.
I guess they're, yeah. But I mean, it's kind of, it feels like weirdly unnecessary in the whole run of the songs, and it feels like Zappa just hated rock critics and just wanted to shoehorn that in. Mary comes back briefly in the song as a vision Joe has that dispenses some mystic wisdom and disappears. Joe finally breaks down. He gives up music and is broken by the system, and he's reintegrated into society with a job at the Utility Muffin Research Kitchen, decorating muffins with icing rosettas. The end. So Joe kind of ends up like Winston Smith in 1984, kind of. You know, he's like broken by the system and part of it.
Like I said, his muffin top is all that.
That's right. Zappa's liner notes kind of explain why the story is so extreme, and there's a lot of graphic sex stuff in there that's wild. Anyway, Joe's Garage is a stupid story about how the government is trying to do away with music, a prime cause of unwanted mass behavior. It's sort of like a really cheap kind of high school play, the way it might have been done 20 years ago, with all the sets made out of cardboard boxes and poster paint. It's also like those lectures that local narcs used to give you, where they show you a display of all the different ways you can get wasted, with the pills leading to the weed, leading to the needle, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know, do you remember I actually remember those. They had a box. They had like a glass front of box with all the drugs in it. To show you what they look like.
They used to show us a movie that actually hunted down, thanks to the AV geeks, who shout out to them.
Oh, yeah?
They were called Dead is Dead, and it was an anti-drug thing. And I remember
Dead is Dead.
The guy coming into that like suburban house, and he had like a suitcase. He opened up, and it was full of all these drugs. And he was like kind of trying to tempt the lady there, and it was like, I don't think it's how that works, but okay.
But I do remember like the police officer would come by, and there was just like this big, like, this is what this pill looks like,
right?
And this is what this pill looks like, and it was just afterwards. I remember us walking back to class going, well, they just told us what every drug was. Now we know what, if we wanted to get drugs, we could say, well, no, according to the...
Wait a minute, sir. That doesn't look like a Quaalude to me.
Yeah, you're trying to chip us.
According to the police officer, they should be half green and half white, and this, sir, this pill is all red.
Yeah, that's right. So technically, though, the fact that this central scrutinizer frames the whole story, it makes everybody in it metafictional.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No? I think so.
I mean, you got a fake band in a play. We count them, right? It's just normal.
But this is like
it's another level down, is what he's saying.
Yeah,
I don't agree with the double level.
This was created by the dystopian
Central Scrutinizer
government.
he's just a narrator, just like a narrator for a different play.
Actually, it's kind of this. There's some kind of weird, cheap irony that a world that outlawed music has made an anti-music piece of propaganda that's a rock musical.
Based on the life of Joe.
Yes.
So Joe's real.
No.
You just said it was based on his life. You said yes.
They made
did
it.
say yes.
Yeah, they made it up. Anyway, the thing that there's a lot of. I feel like I would say there's a lot of homophobia in this thing, but pretty much every sexual act is portrayed negatively. So it kind of like just gets lumped in with everything else because the government hates.
Zappa's thing.
I mean, I don't know if it was necessarily homophobia. It was just, a lot of, let's say,
prison rape.
Well, but that happens in prison.
Yeah, well, there's some other stuff too with like the robot and
there is. There's some stuff with the appliances that they have, but that's a whole kind of. It's almost kind of like. Do you remember Dean Pelton from Community, where they talked to him about if he came out of the closet as gay? He's like, that only covers like 14% of what I am. That's kind of what this is. This is kind of like there's so much out there. It covers
about like 14%. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's just it's against. Basically, there's nothing that's like there's no good sexual. Like,
well, the whole and then the kind of it fits with the whole theme of it being a piece of propaganda that everything is negative in it.
Yes.
So. Anyway, so originally Zappa was just going into the studio to record 2 singles, Joe's Garage and the song, and the other song, Catholic Girls.
They do sound more like singles. And, well, that and Why Does It Hurt When I Pee?
Yeah.
Those 3 songs actually sound like could be singles. Everything else,
this is much more jam kind of oriented.
Yeah.
But they actually came up with like a dozen or more songs, and then Zappa got the idea to turn it into a rock opera, and apparently he like wrote out the rock opera in like a weekend and came back on Monday with like, okay, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
And then they, made up a lot more stuff directly in the studio, and weirdly, a lot of the solos were taken from live performances that he had already done in a technique he called xenochrony or xeonchrony, which I guess means like out of time, alienated to time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so you take these guitar solos and dub them over, or dub under them. I guess I don't know.
I just want to loop back to like how great a plan it is to when you have like something like a 3-album thing. It's like it's something stupid. Like, it really kind of like lowers people's expectations. Like, it's just something stupid I did. Yeah,
it is kind of funny though. I think that Catholic Girls, that song, is almost just kind of wedged into this story. It doesn't almost fit this story well at all. Okay, and it's just kind of like, he had written those, and then he was like,
those ahead of time.
What if we just made this all like a big mystical story and everything? And then I already have this song just right in there.
They made it work. Yeah. Well, it's not any worse than Styx's, Mr. Roboto thing. That's a lot worse.
Oh, this
is
a
rock opera.
This is much better than that.
Oh yeah. So the album, or the first album, because originally it was released in 2 parts. The first album reached number 27 on the U.S. Billboard album charts, which I didn't realize. It did even better in Canada, hitting number 16. The second and third part album hit number 39 in Canada. It didn't chart anywhere else, though. And I was shocked to learn the song Joe's Garage was a hit in Norway, got to number 4, and in Sweden to number 14.
It's a good song.
Oh, no.
I enjoy that
There's a
song.
lot of catchy stuff in this rock opera for sure.
But if the actual song Joe's Garage, you listen to that. That's probably all you really need from this.
I hadn't I'd listened to certain songs before, but I hadn't like listened to the whole thing in sequence, and it kind of made me realize something about Frank Zappa, and I realized like I don't really like Zappa's funny stuff, and by all accounts, I should love Zappa. People have told me, "Oh, you like such and such, you should love Frank Zappa," and I did, because I like music that plays with genres. It's technically interesting, but still has catchy hooks and weird lyrics. I love novelty songs. I love funny, quirky music. But this stuff isn't like particularly witty or clever. It's like it feels like his sense of humor is very vulgar. It seems to be primarily ha ha ha. Look how stupid this is. And he's like, you beat the straw man down and he just keeps rubbing your nose in it. And he's kind of punching down all the time, which I'm not a big fan of. And
it's not probably nuanced in a lot.
No, and when he's making fun of something, it seems to come from a place of like real contempt and disgust. It's not, a lot of people make fun of things they love, but this is just like kind of done with a sneer.
It's no life in the slaw lane.
No, exactly.
He loved vegetables.
He did. Who was that?
Did you just throw in a Kippadata reference on us?
Kippadata. Anyway, so yes, absolutely. Zappa is a huge defender of the artistic freedom, like you mentioned. He's a virtuoso guitarist. He's a musical experimenter par excellence. He's critically acclaimed, and he consistently fails to make me laugh. For a funny, quote, funny guy, he seems like pretty humorless to me. He's like the most humorless, funny guy I've ever heard of.
Did I not mention the song Why Does It Hurt When I Pee?
Some of it, there's some bits. I'm not saying
Yeah.
this is
The
all-
greatest song about catching venereal disease that you'll ever listen to.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And also I have to take into account that the whole thing is staged as this, anti-music propaganda piece, which is why they push into these like negative, kind of almost humorously negative ways, because like the narcs are really heavy-handed and ham-fisted.
And he wrote it in a weekend also.
Yes,
Well,
exactly.
there's that. Yeah. And some of it was improvised in the studio too. So
Kimmy Schmidt survived with a positive outlook and the help of fresh jams from Columbia House Tape Club's 4-cassette tape compilation. Now that sounds like music. It's music inspired by, but legally different from, the music you love. Here's a hit to cheer us up, Yum Bit by Shanson.
At least I've got Shanson's Yum Bit to cheer me up. Yum Bit, flip, flap, shack, do, flip. Snippy, snip, snip, boom, that ship, cat, do. Yum, hell, bit, flip, flap.
Figured we'd need it a little bit right
Yeah.
there.
thanks.
So T Mike was not a huge Zappa fan.
Does not seem like
no.
it.
But you know who was?
Who?
Timothy Archer, the
I
subject.
don't know him.
The 1982 novel, The Transmigration of Timothy Archer,
Oh, okay.
which does mention a ton of real bands, including Frank Zappa,
Oh, okay.
but no fake ones.
What?
However, that is a flimsy enough pretext for us to change the subject to the great sci-fi author Philip K. Dick.
Well done.
Now that's a segue.
Well played.
All right.
Philip K. Dick, you guys, I'm sure, have read Philip
Oh,
K.
yeah.
Dick's. I was a huge fan in high school, and after Blade Runner, I kind of got and then I think that was why. I mean, in high school, Charles looking back now, this is why all the kids call me Dickhead.
Yes, that's exactly why we called you that.
That is right, Charles?
Yes,
That's
absolutely,
correct?
absolutely.
Okay. I have a lot of my self-identity tied up in that fact. So yeah, and
You got me.
You were the king of the dickheads, as I recall.
Yeah, that's what they used to say
yeah,
about it.
yeah.
Philip Kindred Dick was
His middle name is Kindred?
Kindred. Yes,
I had no idea.
Philip Kindred Dick, born 1928, died 1982. Sadly, right before Blade Runner came out, that was going to be his big success, and then it really opened the doors in Hollywood for him to do a bunch of their adaptations of his work. And sadly, he was dead for all of them. So he wrote 45 novels and 121 short stories. He worked steadily for decades, and largely thanks to his speed habit. He was a big fan of amphetamine. So
Wow.
most folks actually probably know, more so than have read his stuff, have actually seen the movies. As I mentioned, Blade Runner 1982, and the various incarnations of it. I don't know what level of reworking of it now. They had the one without the voiceover, then they had the one with the happy ending and no happy ending. I mean,
They
many different.
They keep releasing different director's cuts
There's
and whatnot. Yeah.
There's the director's cut. There's the producer's cut. There's the best boys cut. The gaffer's cut.
Gaffer's cut is the one to watch.
Some of the other movies adaptations: Total Recall,
Yes.
Minority Report,
Yes.
The Adjustment Bureau,
Did I see that one? I don't know.
Screamers, which is fairly low budget but actually fun movie. And
I'll have to check it out.
A Scanner Darkly, which is really fascinating. It's the one done with rotoscoping. It's really cool to see.
Weekend at Bernie's was his too,
Yeah, I
right?
believe so. Yes.
No, it wasn't? Oh.
Amazon did a whole series out of The Man in the High Castle, and
Yeah,
that
that's
was
right.
That's a wild novel, yeah.
So a lot of his work involved alternate realities, simulacra, drugs, unreliable narrators, mental health struggles, and in his later works, elements of Gnosticism, this kind of early Christian beliefs of the creator God and the battle between the incarnations of good and evil, and so he was
Isn't there a lot of secret knowledge kind of stuff in there too?
So he was born in Chicago. His folks moved to the Bay Area and then divorced. He worked at a record store in San Francisco in the late 40s, early 50s. He dropped out of Berkeley due to anxiety and also not liking having to was required at the time to be in ROTC. He actually attended Communist Party meetings when he was young, but later on, when he became much more libertarian and really just kind of anti-communist politically. And I'm telling you all this for a reason.
Okay.
He sold his first story, Rug, which was actually about a dog that was trying to warn his owners that people were stealing the valuables that they would put in cans out by the road. Every week they'd put these valuable things out in cans, like food and wonderful snacks.
Oh, trash.
He was sold it in 1951. He was 22. That was his first sale. And then after that, in 1952, he became a full-time, largely impoverished writer, but it was basically all he did was write. His first novel was Solar Lottery. It came out in 1955, and it was part of this thing that there's no equivalent now, but it was
the Ace Doubles series. I love the Ace Doubles.
It was
I don't know what the Ace Doubles
very
series is.
common in like used bookstores. I remember I saw a bunch of them. Yeah.
So it's a paperback, and it's 2 novels in one by 2 different authors usually. You look at one side, and it's got the cover for the first novel, and you flip it over, and it's the cover of the second one. And
I've seen some things
they're back
like that.
to back. Yeah. Oh, I think it was purely science fiction.
It's pretty much mostly science fiction, some westerns, I think, but it was like Ace and Bantam and all the other sci-fi publishers I paid very little. So he was always incredibly poor, even though he was starting to become very well known, especially after The Man in the High Castle won the Hugo Award. It became
That's a big
sci-fi award. In the 60s, he actually wrote 21 novels.
Wow.
Thank you, Speed. And he also ended up destroying his 4th marriage. Also, thank you, Speed. He was married 5 times in all, and the first was only for a couple months, but he had multiple marriages. In the early 70s, he had a whole bunch of mental health struggles, including a couple suicide attempts. I went to a conference in Canada and basically announced...
we're already getting depressed.
Yeah.
And we're not even at the actual dystopia yet.
He announced he was going to be moving
Do I
to
have to
Canada.
get more Kimmy Schmidt in here?
Don't you Kimmy me. He also had this weird moment where he was like I mentioned, the anti-communist thing. He was like tried to turn in he wrote the FBI to try to turn in fellow sci-fi writer Thomas Dish, and then also Frederick Jameson, he was a famed cultural critic and literary critic for being communist. And then he also wrote a letter saying that Stanislaw Lem was actually a committee of people trying to sway public opinion in the United States to communism.
Okay.
And Stanislaw Lem was a Polish writer.
Yeah, he's very talented, great stuff he's written. You got to find a good translation. Not as well known as stuff. But
probably the biggest thing was Solaris,
which was turned into a movie
in the 70s. Yeah, later after this happened. So he's having a lot of mental health issues, almost moving to Canada. In 1974, he had surgery for an impacted wisdom tooth. And then the woman dropping off his pain meds from the pharmacy had on a Christian, like one of the fish thing.
Yeah.
And then he was looking at it, and a beam of pink light blasted into his eyes and shot wisdom into him. And so he started having all these hallucinations between like February, March 1974. And so he called it 2374. And it was this period of later on he said it might have been like a weird drug-induced schizophrenia. He was like, but he basically was trying to figure out, he spent the rest of his life trying to unpack what happened to him. And that resulted in what he called the Valis trilogy, which he actually didn't finish before he died of his fatal stroke. Again, thank you, Speed. The trilogy was going to be the novel Valis, the novel Divine Invasion, and then the Owl in Daylight, which was never finished, which was like just not even really full notes. Yeah. And then also the related novel, The Transmigration of Timothy Archer,
which you talked about earlier.
Yeah. Okay. So many of his works take place in dystopian worlds, but not many of them have fake musicians, sadly. Weirdly, one of his earliest published works actually had a fake composer in it.
Oh, yeah.
It was this thing he wrote when he was just a kid. It was in the Young Authors Club from the Berkeley Daily Gazette. It talked about William Friedrich Mothaven, who was a fictional Australian classical composer in this weird little like kind of parody pastiche kind of thing that he wrote called Program Notes on a Great Composer, and he wrote it as a kid. Kind of fun little side note. But in 1964, in the Simulacra, which was one of his earlier, after The Man in the High Castle, was one of his kind of building up some of the novels he was cranking out. The U.S. is unified with West Germany. It's fought a nuclear with China. There's mutations in the population, and the president may be an android. Yeah. One of the major characters is Richard Kongrosian, and he's a telekinetic pianist. So he plays piano with his mind.
Oh, wow.
And one of the problems he's having is that his performance career is kind of limited by the fact that he believes his body odor is lethal.
He believes this.
He believes it.
It's
Okay.
not
And it
a
may
fact.
or may not be true.
Oh,
I
a
don't
little
know.
question mark
It's
in
one of
there.
those weird things in Dick. Like,
Wow.
some of the crazy things are like, oh, that is true. Okay,
Yeah, that's a lot. Well, that's a lot of things. He's always playing with reality
Yeah,
in his
exactly.
works,
That's
almost
his-
always.
yeah.
It's like what's real, what isn't, what is.
So the other major musicians really come about after his breakdowns in the early 1970s, and the first is in "Flow My Tears," the policeman said, which is the first novel he published. He had a few years of writer's block. After he broke up with his wife, and he had this like
Did he
crazy.
quit speed?
No, I think he was still doing speed, but he was like had random local street people kind of living in his house, and his wife had left him, and
Okay.
he had the house, and he figured, hey, might as well have people live in the house with me, and yeah, he was having a little rough time. But in the novel, there's a character. The main character is Jason Taverner. He's a genetically modified pop musician and TV star. And he's in a fascist police state version of the U.S. that has happened after a second civil war.
Okay.
College students are like basically confined to the universities, and there's Nats and Poles. There's National Guard and police who are checking people's papers all the time.
Right, because this is after all the student protests of the 60s and 70s.
Yeah. So he gets attacked. Jason Taverner gets attacked by a jealous ex with this like weird alien life form, and then he wakes up the next day after they've removed it all, but he realizes he's living in a world where there's absolutely no records of his existence. So there's no evidence that he exists at all. And no one, not even his singer girlfriend, Heather Hart, recognizes him.
Oh, wow. Just
Yeah, so
completely wiped away.
Completely wiped away.
So again,
which-
playing with reality here.
yeah, but it's a big problem if it's like a surveillance state if you have no record.
Yeah, what the
what
hell-
do you do? Yeah, so
What the hell happened?
So there's a whole complicated plot, and it involves drugs and
Speed?
not really. No, actually,
What? Write what you know, Philip.
Reality-
Write what you know.
reality warping drugs.
Okay, well,
And-
maybe then, yeah.
And a police chief who was in an incestual relationship with his
Whoa.
sister, and it's like,
geez.
yeah, it's a roller coaster. It's worth reading though. It is a good novel. And the last musicians appear in the Valis trilogy itself, and I should mention Valis, VALIS. It stands for Vast Active Living Intelligence System.
Fast acting living intelligence system.
Vast.
Oh, vast.
Vast.
That's
Vast.
It's not a toothpaste. It's which Valis is Dick's term for his idea of a Gnostic god, but it's also a satellite that communicates things from another galaxy. It's complex, and even the publishing history of it is complex because it began life as Radio Free Albemuth, which was originally called Valis System A. And it was written in 1976, and it was basically him trying to deal with the stuff that happened to him in 74. And he sent it off to Bantam, and they got so many comments on it. He just basically ended up abandoning it, so it wasn't published.
So he had
until
so much editing. They wanted him to do so much editing. He was
just
like,
started
forget
over.
it.
Yeah, so
okay.
they didn't publish it again until they published it posthumously in 1985. So it's about Nicholas Brady and his friend Philip K. Dick, who was a sci-fi writer. So the Valis novels are all very self-referential in that way.
Right.
So Nicholas, though, lives Dick's actual life. He was in Berkeley, worked at a record store there.
Okay.
He ended up having to drop out of Berkeley because he didn't want to be in an ROTC.
Okay. So he is writing what he knows. Okay.
He went to communist meetings, and just like Phil K. Dick, he ended up moving to Orange County. The novel is centered on Ferris F. Fremont, who's like a Nixonian politician who's totally unlikable. He's elected via help from Russian intelligence. He sets up this massive surveillance and police system. He starts arresting citizens and non-citizens alike, holds without charges. He blames everything on a Ramchak, which is a made-up adversary. Yeah, it's a dystopian novel in 1976. It's
I don't catch the reference.
our current reality right now.
You sure Philip K. Dick is dead?
Yes,
He's
I
not
know.
still writing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Brady gets a job at Progressive Records, which is a big folk label. I don't think we include record labels.
No.
No.
Somebody wants to take that on. Go
Right.
for it.
And early in the novel, he mentions Uncle Dave Huggins and his Upfront Electric Jugs, which is
Okay, I get it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a folk rock band, and it's a little like the Grateful Dead on some of their tracks, and that's
Okay.
it's just a total offhand reference there.
Yeah, just
most of the other bands are actually real, but
Yeah.
he does mention this fake one. But then later on, we meet the band The Playthings, which is an entirely fake band, and that's their hottest act. And
Okay.
they're like a folk rock band. in the novel, he's trying to get out the word through this surveillance state that Fremont is basically a Russian asset. And so he meets up, he has these visions of this woman, Sadassa Sylvia, and this album title says Sadassa Sylvia Sings. And he ends up meeting her. She comes in for a job and she just wants a secretarial job.
Because she's not famous yet.
No,
but he has a vision of her.
Yeah, she does know how to play guitar and she writes poetry, but she doesn't write song lyrics. And so he ends up having to, and Valis is sending him these visions, and Valis is a satellite in space and also like God. So they end up writing lyrics for the Playthings in their album Let's Play. And that they deliver a subliminal message that Fremont is actually a communist agent. And they work in, again, this is the time when subliminal messaging was actually being studied and everything like that. So
backwards masking and that sort of thing.
All that kind of stuff. Yeah. And so they actually make a reference to the line in I Am the Walrus about everybody smoke dope now, or at the end where they're
it's backwards.
I don't think it's backwards. I think it's just like when they're chanting, but it sounds like a weird thing at the very end. It sounds like someone says everybody.
Okay.
And so they were talking about how you could hide these messages in there and they would come out after you hear the whole song.
Mm-hmm.
One thing we should know about Sadassa Sylvia is that Dick mentioned several times that she is black and that she has an afro. Remember that. So Fremont's paramilitary group, FAP, Friends of the American People. It's not ICE. FAP, yes. Friends of the American People, or FAP. And I think this is before that became slang, but now looking back, it's like, so they end up arresting and killing Nick Brady and Sylvia, and so for this attempt. And so they put Philip K. Dick in labor camp. And so he is hanging out in the labor camp, and at the end, he starts hearing these kids with a boombox and they're playing a song, and he realized that's the song
with the secret message.
Their secret message there, and it's being played by a San Francisco rock group called Alexander Hamilton.
Dude.
So Philip K. Dick predicted the success of Hamilton.
He sure did, didn't he?
How about that?
Who knew? Their lead singer, we actually know a little bit about this band, Grace Dandridge. He gives her a name, and they're on Arcane Records, which apparently is a big record label in this world.
Okay.
Their new song going up the charts is Come to the Party, and it gets on the air, and the novel kind of implies that it actually works and that Ferris F. Fremont ends up getting deposed. So it actually has, even though it ends on a fairly bleak thing with Philip K. Dick still in prison, there is like an element of like, he sets up at the very beginning, this is the story of the fall of Ferris K.
And the best way to overturn tyrants is to
subliminal
messaging and top pop songs.
It's funny you mentioned that because this novel was adapted. Well, really, it was adapted in 2007, but it didn't get out till many years later. 2010, I think, is when it's actually copyrighted into a really badly reviewed movie that's now impossible to find. It's also called Radio Free Albemuth. One of the reviews on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes actually calls out the improbability of a revolution coming from subliminal messaging.
Snuck into a pop song.
That essentially space gods, their big idea of fighting fascism is to
thanks, Magic Satellite. Great idea.
We were going to actually try to have a clip of the song from the movie, and we couldn't find the movie anywhere. It is not streaming anyway. It streamed until about 2012. When it first came out, it was actually on Netflix and a couple of places. It is nowhere. I mean, I was like VPN in like multiple countries. It is nowhere to be found.
You might be the last person to know this movie existed.
I possibly could be. What's weird is that it's actually available on DVD, but it's like $50.
Oh, wow.
It's one of them was like $60 for a used DVD. I'm like, no. It's not, So anyway, in the movie, Sylvia loses her last name and she gets deraced and turned into Alanis Morissette.
That's kind of surprising because she was a big deal singer.
She's not a big deal actor.
No, Well,
in 2007, she was no longer a big deal musician.
Well, that's true. But I figured that would have. I guess that was part of the hope was that she'd get some audience attraction to it.
I think a lot of the actors seem to be Canadian. I couldn't find a lot of information about the production company. I think it was a Canadian production, so maybe there was some of that.
Is it Dave Kool-Aid joint?
Yes. Oh Lord. Alexander Hamilton ends up getting renamed also. They're called the Fisher Kings.
Okay.
What is nice, though, the real band, The Good Listeners, they recorded a version of Everybody Join the Party for the soundtrack. And so we were able to find that.
Oh, clip.
Welcome to the party.
And so, as I mentioned, Bantam actually sent back the Radio Free album of manuscript with so many corrections that Dick was like, it's easier to start over.
Yeah, so he basically just wrote the first Valis novel
Exactly.
instead.
So in 1981, he put out Valis, and it's, again, very metafictional. There's a character named Philip K. Dick, again, and his friend, Horse Lover Fat.
It's a great name.
That name sounds crazy until you think about it. Yeah. And the reason is because Philip means horse loving in Koine Greek. In Koine Greek.
Does it?
Yeah. So actually, in ancient Greek, it means horse loving.
Okay.
And Dick means fat in German.
Sure.
So basically, it's just an alternate version of him. And there's an implication that he might be having a schizophrenic break.
Okay.
But inside the novel Valis,
Horse Lover Fat.
there is a film called Valis that is basically the plot of Radio Free Albemuth.
Okay.
And in the novel Valis, the movie Valis was made by the musician Eric Lampton.
Okay.
Who surprisingly is not Eric Clapton.
Oh, it's not. I was going to say just by the name, I just assumed.
David Bowie. He's basically he's essentially David Bowie character. He's not like a blues guitarist.
But he just wants to throw us off the track with Eric Clapton.
Clearly, yeah.
He's a very thinly veiled version of David Bowie. He also sometimes goes by Mother Goose, which is kind of alludes to that Bowie at the time, of course, had just finished his 70s where he was Ziggy Stardust. He was the Thin White Duke. He had like one other persona. He had the
Borat was him. No, it wasn't.
Borat, yes.
All right.
There's also Brent Minnie, who was a minimalist composer who was essentially Brian Eno.
Okay, right. Who worked with Bowie, right?
Worked with Bowie, on the Berlin trilogy. His major work was synchronicity music, and there's a great little reading from the novel. Bump, bump. Something awkward and enormous dragged its way down a flight of stairs. Then as we stood unmoving, a wheelchair entered the living room. In it, a crushed little heap smiled at us in humor, love, and the warmth of recognition. From both ears ran cords, double hearing aids. Minnie, the composer of synchronicity music, was partially deaf. Going up to Minnie one by one, we shook his faltering hand and identified ourselves, not as a society, but as persons. Your music is very important, Kevin said. Yes, it is, Minnie said. So he definitely captures Eno's ego, which I know is a nice
maybe not his appearance or anything like that.
Like kind of crazy, whatever wasting disease.
It's like the thing was, how's this Brian Eno?
Some Stephen Hawking in there.
Yeah. So the second book in the trilogy, The Divine Invasion, which also came out in 1981, again, thank you, Speed, mentions the movie Valis, and it also features Linda Fox, who was a young singer who's basically based on Linda Ronstadt. She ends up saving the protagonist from Belial, who was a fallen angel and the enemy of Valis.
Okay.
And so one of the weird things is that even though his plots may make it sound like Dick did a whole bunch of hallucinogens, he was actually fairly inexperienced with them, and he didn't like them. He actually was not a fan of hallucinogens.
Later, it turns out he didn't need them. He could just do it on his own.
Well, that's the thing. In this 1978 interview, he was actually really annoyed that people were calling his 1965 novel, The Three Stigmata of Palmer Eldritch, the first drug novel, like the first LSD novel, because it actually came about from reading an article about hallucinogens by Aldous Huxley, who was a drug aficionado and author of a classic 1932 dystopia, Brave New World. And what do you know?
Segue!
There are fake bands in there!
We should talk about them.
T-Mike, take it away.
All right, well, we already talked about Calvin Stopes and his 16 saxophonists.
We did.
In a previous in a previous show, so we're not going to talk about them. I guess we could briefly mention saxophones, which I guess is just a saxophone, only sexier. That's right. One of the big things in there, musically speaking, is the synthetic music machine, which is this and also we should know that the Brave New World is set in the future.
Yeah,
I believe it's like 2500 or something like that. Yeah. This mechanical device creates, quote, synthetic music. It's also referred to as a synthetic music box and a synthetic music apparatus, synthetic music plant. And they're apparently similar to player pianos, where they have like a paper roll that's used to play back pre-programmed music, but they're capable of producing multiple instruments, multiple different synthesized instruments simultaneously. One piece is described as a trio for hyper violin, super cello, and oboe surrogate. One of the government departments is the Bureau of Propaganda by Synthetic Voice and Music, which produces the compositions for the machine. So it's got a little 1984 kind of flavor in there too.
I think Orwell is better at naming the departments.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
There's also a disparaging mention of an old-fashioned hotel that has only the most putrid synthetic music, quote unquote, which suggests that like these machines have been around for a while and there's like different levels, and also the older ones are crappier, kind of that kind of thing.
The equivalent of like the hotel band with the Casio.
Yeah, exactly.
Keyboard now.
So the other weird thing is that these devices can also not play back not just synthesized music, but synthesized voices.
Ooh.
And there's one that's actually used to play back a calming speech during a riot, and there's others described as playing back lessons. Here's a quote. "And this," said the provost a moment later, "is the hypnopedic control room. Hundreds of synthetic music boxes, one for each dormitory, stood ranged in shelves around three sides of the room. Pigeonholed on the fourth were the paper soundtrack rolls on which the various hypnopedic lessons were printed. You slip the roll in here," explained Bernard, interrupting Dr. Gaffney. "Press down the switch. No, that one," corrected the provost, annoyed. "That one then. The roll unwinds, the selenium cells transform the light impulses into sound waves, and there you are," Dr. Gaffney concluded. Yeah, so I'm not sure what the advantage of these machines is over, say, a record player or a tape machine.
Yeah.
I mean, I almost thought like, well, they didn't have tape machines, but wire recorders, which is the forerunner of tape machines, was patented in 1903. So I know he knew about them. I mean, he knew about records. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I don't know why he decided he needs this sort of like additionally complicated thing. But wait, there's another notch we're going to kick up here. The Super Vox Wurlitziana,
Whoa.
which is a particular type and brand of synthetic music machine. It's also referred to as a super Wurlitzer.
I've heard of them.
Yeah. So apparently the real world Rudolf Wurlitzer Company, which has been making pianos and organs since the 1880s, is still thriving in the year, was it 2540 or 632 AF after Ford.
So buy stock now.
After Gerald Ford?
Yes,
No,
exactly.
Henry Ford.
Oh.
And we do get a mention that it's being used in a hospital for the dying, where they're playing the song "Hug Me Till You Drug Me, Honey."
That's pretty great.
All right, let's all take a deep breath. Go to our happy places for a moment. See a world of sunshine and fields of daisies. And after the break, we will plummet into the darkness of dystopian comics. This is the Rocklopedia Fake Bandicoot. Okay, we are back, and we're going to dive into the gloom of a faraway dystopian future, right, guys?
Yay!
With sonic disruptors. T. Mike, you have the
All
floor.
right, well, this is a kind of a pet fun one for me, but nobody is probably going to have heard of it. It's
Having read it, like it.
Yeah, it's a 12-issue comic book maxi series by DC Comics that came out in 1987 and 1988, and it's a standalone project. It had no connection with any other part of the DC continuity. The creators were Mark Barron and artists Barry Crane, John Nyberg, Lovren Kindzierski, and Stephen Haynes. Barron had co-created the comic book Nexus and wrote for Marvel's The Punisher and DC's The Flash.
Well, he kind of created. I mean, he really kind of created the modern version of the Punisher. So all those, all those like raised trucks with the stupid logo on it, like a lot of that owes to this run on from Barron with the Punisher at the time, and he actually was the one who made Wally West like the second Flash, and so he basically brought the Flash into the modern. So he was actually fairly accomplished.
Yeah,
and I would like to note you mentioned 12.
Yes, well, we'll get to that. So the comic book takes place, came out 87, 88. It takes place in the far-flung future of the year 2030.
Wait, 4 years from now?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the main...
Boy.
Yeah, we're really falling short on technology-wise.
The main plot of the book is rock and roll has been outlawed by a fascist U.S. government. It's another reaction that kind of came out of the PMRC thing and Reaganism and all that. It's a huge ham-fisted critique of Reagan's America, the moral majority, and the whole new Puritanism kind of thing Republicans were pushing. So the first issue, we set up the story and the characters. General Nuke Oosterhouse led a military coup in the country out of a disgust over a woman being elected president. Horror.
Men are just so emotional.
Yes,
like I just don't think they should be allowed to lead.
They can't be their feelings. They're out of control.
So 2028, we have a woman president.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
Yeah.
Right. So also it didn't help that the previous administration, not the woman administration, but the previous one was very chaotic apparently, and there was like a lot of protesting, and they were undergoing financial collapse, which led them to selling off government assets left and right for cheap.
It's not seeming very prescient anymore.
One of these assets is an orbiting space station designed to store nuclear waste, which is a terrible, terrible idea for many, many reasons. But it was sold off to our protagonist, Myron Speece.
I will say, I read all these, and I remember when I got to that point, the little factor about why they couldn't just blow it up because it's full of nuclear waste. I was like, I actually put my laptop down. I was like, huh. Okay, that's
why they had to fill it with nuclear waste for this plot point. Yes.
It's. I mean, I was thinking like I appreciate the thinking of this plot point, but holy crap, it is an incredibly terrible idea.
Yeah, it is. Anyway, Speece is a huge music fan with a huge record collection, and he became DJ Chic Rattle and Roll. And his satellite of love becomes the pirate radio station Big Bopper and the voice of the resistance.
I thought it was a Little Bopper. I think they call it Little Bopper.
Oh, you're right. It's Little Bopper. My bad. Yeah. It helps coordinate the underground using the songs and dedications as secret codes. It also reports on government atrocities and reads out the names of the missing who have been taken by the government. And Little Bopper is a huge thorn in the side of the government. But again, you're right. They can't shoot down because it would rain the nuclear waste.
And they keep mentioning that it's a geosynchronous orbit, but then they also mention it's over different cities.
Right.
So I have a feeling that someone told Baron like the word geosynchronous.
Yeah, exactly.
And he thought,
that's
that
about
sounds
it.
satellite-y.
Yeah, that's very satellite. And apparently the station changes frequencies randomly,
all the
so
time,
they can't just jam it, except you could just listen to the new frequency and go, okay, now we jam that one, right?
Yeah,
it's anyway. But the government has another solution. They've launched a tractor spacecraft to tow Bopper out of orbit and fling it into deep space.
And just like the Hostess Twinkie ads, remember they did like with the comic books talked about the other week? I think that's when John Deere got involved in this because they actually kept mentioning they referred to it as like the John Deere tractor. Like,
the Operation John Deere, basically.
Why they chose this like one tractor manufacturer? Like, I'm going to throw them a real shout out there in the comics.
So here's some of the other DJs on the station. We got Mr. C, who plays you Soul. We got Fully Goyle, aka Gargoyle. His name is a spoonerism of Gully Foyle, who's a character from a science fiction novel. Yeah, that's why it's weird.
Oh, okay.
And there's also some minor ones named Polly and Hare who like appear briefly and disappear. Yeah. So there's a character named Kate Straight who works for the Resistance, but she loves soft pop like Joni Mitchell and the Incredible String Band. She disapproves of booze and drugs. She's like literally straight edge except for the actual punk.
But she's like not just straight, she's like hectoring. She's like really.
Oh yeah, she finds out they're growing weed on the station. She like goes off on that. It's kind of
very
funny.
Weird.
Yeah. Anyway, she's working at an illegal radio factory when it gets raided by government goons. She gets away, but later she's about to get like snatched by the cops. But Mr. C just happens to be right there at the airport at the precise right moment and rescue her, this is totally lame ass plot, non-plot point somehow.
He'd gone down in his like space plane to pick up some rare blues.
Some rare sides.
Like that. Yeah, it was like, okay.
Anyway, and then we learn there's another rebel out there and somewhere named Fuzzbuster who has some sort of radio powers. So also on the station is one Charles King Kong, who's with the Chinese military, who use Little Bopper as a listening post to spy on U.S. transmission. Now, Kong is big pals with the Sheik, and the Sheik convinces Kong to convince the Chinese government to recognize Little Bopper as an independent state, an ally. So the U.S. would have to call off their tractor spaceship to avoid risk of war with China.
And they do it in a subtle way with lots of L and R mixing up. And I was like reading it, I was like, oh.
Yeah, the L and R thing for the accents for the Chinese characters is just awful. It's like, why you didn't need to do
your
that?
Your lock station. Oh, yeah.
And this is when I tapped out of this. I said, no.
Anyway,
if this is the dystopian world of 4 years from now, I'm not going to live.
Racist stereotypes, Anyway, and then Kong would be an ambassador to the station so he could stay on the station where he likes to be and have a cool radio show, be a cool DJ guy who they likes to be. So they do that, and it saves them from, the John Deere. And the new ambassador, though, is not the cool guy Kong, an upright, hardcore communist named Fang, who has brought the latest single from the official revolutionary rock band of the Chinese government, Baby You Rock My Red Socks Off by the Red Guard.
And I do believe they say, Baby, you lock my lead socks off.
Yes.
It is like
it's terrible.
This is issue 2 by this point, and I was like, I was right there with you, Charles, but I powered through.
Oh, I'm amazed you did because I was like, you know what? No, I don't need. I know all I need to know.
Issue 2. The U.S. has a new plan. They're going to launch a new satellite called Big Mouth to broadcast government-approved music, park it right under Little Bopper, drown them out, and actually attach like cables to Little Bopper so they can annoy them with the music.
The reason why Little Bopper's not in the U.S. control anymore is because of these financial problems they were having.
They literally sold it off.
But they have the ability to launch like 2 massive satellites in a row. Yeah.
Well,
we can keep firing ships to get rid of this thing.
So we got TV evangelist Reverend Phelps, who's going to be on the spacecraft playing the pipe organ, along with another musical group called the Righteous Rockers, who are like government-approved Christian rock. So now Fuzzbuster finally shows up. He's some sort of human radio transmitter who helps coordinate the underground with Little Bopper. He's about to get busted, but he can outrun the feds because he got an old-fashioned gas guzzler car instead of those electric cars everyone else has. Because clearly gas-powered engines are the superior vehicle.
Or clearly Baron had just watched the Road Warrior, and he was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Mad Max is cool. I'm going to watch this.
All right, issue 3. The Sheik and Kate.
Oh God, this is awful. Yeah,
Kate was rescued and got taken up to the satellite. Now they're going back down to deliver some weed to the Republic of Rock in Micronesia, which is now, quote, an archipelago of polyglot musical styles masquerading as states. The United States of rock and roll, financed by record royalties and concert appearances. So all the rockers in the U.S. fled the country and bought some islands from the French. And there's Metallica, which was with a K. There's the State of Bluegrass, the Republic of Soul, the Fellowship of Folk, etc. And we get more bands. Marty Quick used to play lead guitar for the White Zombies, but now he's the Republic of Rock's defense minister. And the prime minister is Devonshire, lead singer of Devonshire's and the Zipperheads. She also plays bass. So then there's like this big, stupid battle of bands between the Zipperheads and Metallica's new act, the Rage Mobile. They bands actually stay on their own islands, and they use these giant building-size amps to try to like. And
they're powered by like the volcanoes on all these islands.
The geothermal power.
So glad I stopped at episode 1.
So playing with Devon or Billy Blue Pill on guitar, Leon Leviathan on drums. I'm not 100% clear if those are the Zipperheads or some other musicians who would be standing around, because obviously the place is filled with them. But anyway, let's just say they are.
T-Mark, I think until Baron dies, you were the second most researched person on this, so you can say whatever you want. And
all right, but both systems blow fuses, and it's all a bust. Anyway, so then we meet Dante. He's a slick record producer. He produced Devonshire and the Zipperheads.
He is the comic book version of that guy in all those 80s movies where he's like the rich, douchey guy who's going to be the bad guy.
He's total douche guy who's going to try to be the bad guy. Exactly.
He's like Todd from Better Off Dead or all these. Yeah, he's so obvious.
All right. And so there's a minor plot point where the daughter of the National Security Agency, Josie Rosie, runs away to play bass in a rock and roll band in the Republic of Rock. So that's a big embarrassment to him. He's trying to keep it secret.
And you say minor plot point, but I think it's also a forgotten plot point.
Yes, it is.
Never gets resolved.
That's true.
Anyway.
Anyway, we learn the resistance has shot up a government radio station because, that helps the revolution somehow.
Yeah.
Fuzzbuster is on a mission to get a secret microchip hidden in B.B. King's guitar in this Cleveland Rock and Roll Museum, which has long since been, locked up and left to rot. Because that's where you just hide those microchips with secret programs that can help you tap into communication satellites and whatnot.
I guess maybe at some point in the next... maybe in this world, B.B. King is still alive and really into electronica.
No.
Or something. I don't know.
Anyway, so this is another huge plot failure, like Mr. C rescuing Kate Strait. It's like, you're just, what? How did this?
Every bit of the plot is plot failure.
Anyway. But then we get the Sheik's backstory, and it has musicians in it, so we have to tell his backstory.
Yeah.
His real name is Gus Gottfredson Jr., and his dad was a touring rockabilly singer and guitarist. And the band's singer was Molly Burr, who helped raise the Sheik on the road because Gus got divorced and somehow she got the money and he got the kid. But then Gus Sr. abandons his kid, and he is a street urchin and pickpocket until he picks the wallet of Ramblin' Brad Elliott, whose name is based on real folk singer Ramblin' Jack Elliott.
Except that no folk singer's named Brad.
Brad. Maybe that's like a Willie Nelson character song, like Doc and Red and Brad. I don't know. Never mind.
She got the money, he got the kid.
Yeah,
that's actually a country song. That's a good country title.
You're right. Elliot is one of Spiece's heroes, so he returns the wallet. Elliot owns radio station WSM, which is a real station, and gives Spence a job there. And Spence grows up in the station idolizing DJ Billy Bob Bogest.
Bogest.
Bogest?
Yeah.
Sorry, thank you, Bogest. Spiece also tries to be a musician. He changed his name to Spiece because he doesn't want to be lean on his famous father's name. But he's terrible. He realizes I'm a terrible musician. He quits. He BS's his way into being a stockbroker, and he ends up reconnecting with Billy Bob, who's now a fast food magnate named King Creole. And they launch a new restaurant chain and make millions before it collapses when their croissants cause allergic reactions. And that's where Spiece got the money to buy Little Bopper and become Chic, Rattle, and Roll.
And this is like when croissants were were popular, and it was like, when real men don't
quiche. Quiche was big because. All right, so issue 4.
Oh, good Lord.
We meet musician and rebel terrorist Wolfgang Amadeus Bang of the band Wolfgang Bang and the Krauthammers. Wolfgang is basically real rocker Ted Nugent, only with an even bigger forehead, like 8 to 10 inches high. I mean, even for the exaggerated comic book style they're doing, it's like way too big.
I thought when I was looking at it, I was like, is this like a Rocky Dennis thing? Is this like a mask? Or honestly, it looks like he looks like
the kid from The Mask. You're right.
Like Mask. Yeah, it was very,
Let's share. Wolfgang is going to Arizona for a rock and roll gross out contest.
Good for him.
Yes. Meanwhile, the Chinese are pressuring Bopper personnel to play communist music like the Red Army Marching Band and their song, The Great Helmsman and the Brave Little Farm Girl.
I believe you'll find it's the Blave Riddle Farm
Girl.
No,
stop. No. Then we cut back over to Reverend Phelps, his house band, the Righteous Rockers, who apparently are a worse 80s hair metal band than Air Supply, which was the measuring standard for terrible hair metal bands in the 80s.
They actually
Air Supply count as metal?
They weren't metal. They weren't hair metal. They were just like wimpy pop music. But,
they were like more like yacht rock or something.
But the Righteous Rockers, they actually mentioned were metal. They were like hair metal. So I think that he just wanted to throw a dig at Air Supply. So
Dante shows back up. He's going to produce the Righteous Rockers album. And also, Dante, we learned, has produced other bands that included Firetown, the Young Snots, and the Vibrating Pyramids. The Chic and Fuzzbuster, they get the magic guitar, they get the guitar with the magic chip, and they narrowly escape the cops and arrive in Arizona at the Gross Out concert because issue 5 is the concert. The concert is also a summit meeting of all these underground rock bands who are all also heavily armed terrorist groups. So they're trying to coordinate and work together. And at the festival, here's the lineup. We have Ultimate Spinach Revival, which is a reference to a real 1960s band called Ultimate Spinach.
Why would you reference?
I don't know why. I don't know.
Issue 5.
Yeah. All right. The Blues Club, about which we know nothing. The Kevin Pugh Ensemble, also about who we know nothing. Nitrous Oxide, whose member Chip Cinderblock during the concert drinks a glass of his own pee and sets himself on fire.
Yes, good for Chip Cinderblock.
The Geeks, whose leader bites the head off a live chicken.
A little on the nose there. And actually, there's like a totally like straw man, like animal rights person who like yells
he almost
at him about
gets almost gets into a shootout with an animal rights activist in the audience. It's kind of it's kind of hilarious to me.
Is it?
To me, I thought it was a funny bit.
At this point, it's like Stockholm syndrome when you're reading this thing.
And then there's
Well, T-Mike read it like every month.
Okay, so here's
spread out.
Here's why
you read them all at once, and you're just like,
no. See, here's the personal thing for me. I actually read this when it came out.
No way, really?
Yes. Yeah. I used to hang out at the comic book store, Second Foundation Comics, down the road at UNC.
Uh-huh.
And I just park myself and just read all their stuff and not ever buy anything, which somehow they let me get away with. But then this one thing came out, and I'm like, ooh, I'm going to buy this. Because I apparently had some sort of foreshadowing. I'd fall into this fake band thing.
This is what he spends his money on.
And then it got canceled, which we'll get to. Anyway.
I would mock you, except that I was all about the New Universe, which is, I think Marvel did, and it was terrible. About the same time, actually, yeah.
So the last band on the bill is Carmanel of Zert, which you'd think is just some wacky made-up thing, but it's a reference to the 1971 fantasy novel The Queen of Swords by Michael Moorcock, in which
which is a much better rock and roll name.
It is the Carmanel
or a porn name.
The Carmanel of Zert are indestructible monsters who always sing before they feast. And Carmine and Zert win the contest. We don't know what horrible thing they did to win, which is just as well.
Oh, that's right. It's a gross out concert.
Yes.
So it has to be terrible.
Yeah.
But then they feast afterwards.
Dante turns out to be a government agent who will assassinate the show's MC to provoke a riot. No surprise. And the MC is the Sheik. Only Sheik is on break, and Dante assassinates another MC. And the Sheik
Isn't the other MC that like...
It's Billy Bob
Guest.
Guest.
Yeah,
It's Billy Bob Guest again.
Guest.
Anyway, the Sheik catches Dante in the act. They have a big fight. Dante wins, but Dante can't bring himself to kill the Sheik for some reason. And this is all happening simultaneously with the feds launching a full-scale attack on the place and taking the band's prisoner.
And you couldn't tell by why it was I couldn't tell whether he like was hesitating or whether the gun jammed. That's how unclearly this is drawn and like how unclear this narrative is. It is falling apart at this point.
Yeah, it's okay. So this was like the big build up to this huge climactic event.
Yeah.
So, the revolution is in danger here because all these revolutionaries were at this huge concert, thousands of them. After the concert fiasco, Dante escapes with Kate Straight. The Sheik escapes through the desert, where he ends up discovering Wolfgang Bang also escaped, but is now captured by the Lord's Rumblers, which I kind of love. They're a nationwide movement of quasi-Christian neo-fascist thugs who are pro-Christ, pro-government, anti-rock and roll, and also very pro-gas-powered vehicles. That's like their thing, is like they're like a motorcycle gang.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a Christian motorcycle gang. The Sheik rescues Wolfgang, and during their getaway, they're listening to the Little Bopper, where it's clear the Chinese have effectively taken over the station, broadcasting propaganda like the Red People's Army Mixed Chorale, singing that timeless classic, Chairman Mao, you are my guiding light.
Chairman Mao, you are my guiding light.
You give me hope. Anyway, also the Chinese ripped up the station's pot plants and switched them out for opium poppies to ship down to the States under diplomatic pouches and undermine society.
And there could have been something kind of cool with like a echoing of the opium war or whatever to like.
Well, they mention it, yeah.
They just mention opium, and it's kind of like I fill in what I'm going for with this. And it's like I know you have to like write. You actually have to construct this. You can't just throw an image at me and then anyway, go on.
Well, now we find out the Reverend Phelps is having a secret homosexual affair with Adam, one of the members of the Righteous Rockers. This is actually a reference to a real life event. 1980s televangelist Jim Baker, who was revealed to have some affairs. Meanwhile, Dante and Kate Straight have made it to the Mexican border, where they're taken prisoner by the thousands of Chinese troops waiting there to invade the U.S. But their leader is Charles King Kong. He's back. He recognizes Kate. Now they're not prisoners.
And it all ends on a happy note.
And just a reminder, this isn't like a show where they have to pay for casting.
Yeah.
Like, the fact they keep running into people they know makes it even more ridiculous that it's in this comic book.
There's a whole
world.
lot of that. Yeah. Anyway, Big Mouth finally launches, but Phelps has a stroke from the G-forces and dies.
Series ends, right?
No.
Issue 7. All right, last issue. Here we go. Mr. C has locked himself in the control booth and is playing LL Cool J over and over again to protest the Chinese takeover of the station.
He is the type of guy.
The Chinese are jamming his transmissions, but that also jams Big Mouth's telemetry, and Big Mouth crashes into a Chinese shuttle. Hooray!
Everyone's dead, I guess.
That also means the Righteous Rockers got killed also because they were in the rocket too.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is the crossover with that Sandra Bullock movie Gravity, I think.
No.
But the Little Bopper is still okay.
Yes.
We don't have to worry about the nuclear waste raining
They're
down.
slightly concerned about all the debris floating around the station now, but somehow that
But then you turn the page and it's we're done with
It's
that part.
gone.
That
It's
plot
gone,
point,
yeah.
Whew, that's a relief.
It's over there with Josie's band career.
Yes. Meanwhile, the Sheik and Wolfgang have, again, coincidentally, stumbled on a secret lair out in the desert. And guess whose secret lair just happens to be? Fuzzbuster.
Oh, good.
Fuzzbuster turns out not to be a human being. He is an organic biorobot who can change his features in seconds to impersonate anyone if he has a tissue sample. Even better, he was created by Ted Turner.
Because Ted Turner had like digitized and colorized all the old movies.
Yeah.
And so somehow we're going to throw in that friggin' reference for no good reason.
And
we almost forgot to talk about 1984. The whole novel that started this whole idea.
Yeah.
it doesn't have enough music
Oh,
stuff.
jeez. And we're spending 50 damn minutes on this thing.
We're almost done, Charles.
Okay.
All right, so Fuzzbuster, apparently he fell in love with rock and roll, and he got so sick of people like Ted Turner turning rock songs into commercials and selling out. He killed all of the creators that made them and also made sure they couldn't make another one of them. So Dante escapes from the Chinese, convinces Kate to go with her, and minutes later, Fuzzbuster, Wolfgang, and the Sheik roll up at the Mexican border, reunite with Kong, and reveal the truth that Dante is indeed a government spy, and then canceled. The series is canceled. The mini or maxi series and a comic book limited series getting canceled midway through was unprecedented at the time. I'm sure there's been more examples, but this was like a first. I don't think
there have been, because it is so stupid. You have to have 12 scripts.
Yeah. Well,
that is like less than a ream of paper. And they didn't say, okay, Mike, get them all written first.
Let's get to that in a second, Eric. But so now we don't know what happened.
I'm swearing. Sorry, Apple Podcasts. It's making me angry. Anyway.
So now we don't know what the hell happens. It was canceled. We're cut off. I guess somehow they still have to get the magic chip up to Bopper so they can use it to like
hashtag team nuclear waste.
Yeah.
I want this whole reality wiped out. I mean,
you want the station to blow up and dump.
I want Crisis on this Earth.
Oh, okay.
I want this particular DC universe to be wiped clean.
Well, it's frozen in time here. So I guess they use the chip to shut down maybe the U.S. military. They show it like taking over the whole, like a police chopper's after somebody and they use it to like disable it and like totally mess up its nav systems. So somehow they do that. Somehow it gets a revolution. The revolution gets some kind of chance. I don't know how they keep the Chinese from taking over the U.S.
Well, my understanding is the revolution will not be comic bookized.
Fuzzbuster's obviously going to impersonate somebody important like the president or something.
John Rickles.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, canceled after 7 issues out of a planned 12. For a while, it was thought that maybe there was at least one unreleased completed issue hiding, in the editor's file somewhere, which is not unreasonable. A lot of media get canceled partway through, and there's
looking at you, Netflix.
Yes, and there's like episodes or bits that didn't get released that have been produced. But here's the word straight from the horse's mouth. Creator Mike Barron, in a 2021 interview he did with the Comic Book Historians.
Sonic Disruptors has the distinction of being canceled. And the thing is that my writing techniques have changed drastically since then. I never used to outline, and I was making that up by the seat of my pants, moving panel by panel, and I really didn't know where it was going, except that it was going to end with revolution in the streets. And I think the sales were probably pretty bad, and that's why they canceled it.
Did you have one issue that was not released that was at least written, or did you have the whole? Did you have all 12 issues?
No, I don't have an issue in the can.
Oh, okay. So there's not a issue 7 or issue 8 script?
No.
You've got to be friggin' kidding me.
No, he did not.
Who was the editor? How did they sign off on this?
Seat of his pants. See, literally,
that is crazy that they didn't have.
He did not know where the hell he was going with this thing. He was writing it all panel by panel.
DC is not a high school newspaper. What the hell? Like, what? They were like owned by Warner Brothers at one point. Like this, what is this? How did they let this go by?
I think there was something about him being like really overworked in this period.
Right.
Apparently, I guess he had done well enough with the Punisher and other stuff that they just gave him like carte blanche.
I'm glad Philip K. Dick was dead by this point, because that whole Radio Free Alabama thing would be chapping his ass at this point. He'd be like, what the hell, man?
So, I got notes after notes that I had to restart the whole project. And this guy,
I rewrote it from scratch, and here you are. You don't know what you're doing. Anyway, so there you go. Barron never wrote any other issues. The story's unfinished, was never finished. There's no ending. Or is there?
No, there's no ending.
Listen to this clip of the interview.
Crap.
Because it is unfinished, do you ever want to do something else with that, or probably wouldn't be possible anyway?
Well, in fact, I did. I created another series called Ethel, which wraps up Sonic Disruptor, but it was never published.
Oh, okay, that's what I was looking for. Is that going to be published? Someday.
Well, I don't know. It was about 10 years ago with a friend of mine who lives here in town and was not for any specific publisher.
So that bastard has an ending. He has it wrapped up. He has it written. Maybe there's even artwork. It's unclear. But now we know it's sitting in his file cabinet. It's never going to be released. And I'm angry. Maybe I should write him and gas for a
If I
copy.
don't have to read 5 more of these things, I'm okay with that. But still, I'm irritated. I'm not irritated at him.
Ethel.
I'm irritated at DC Comics.
Yeah.
Like, think about how many great ideas got shelved so this garbage could come out. Ugh.
I like it. I'm sorry. It's crazy. It's ridiculous. It's outlandish. I still like it. I don't like the stupid coincidental things that
I feel
used
about
for
it
the
the same
plot
way
things.
you felt about Zappa.
Yeah.
It is like not funny, and I can tell it's trying to be funny, and that's that's way worse. And
And
it's
there's like all these references. There's all these like mentions of actual bands. There's all these song lyrics they
Yeah.
drop in to kind of comment on the
Oh
scene.
yeah, they come. He like walks in and it's just like, good golly, Miss Molly. Like nobody talks like that.
Oh yeah, they like quote
It's
song
so
lyrics.
cringeworthy.
Oh, and there's all these little background characters that are like caricatures of like real people, like James Dean and Elvis and Prince and.
Oh, that's right, James, the Elvis. That's right. At one point he plays.
Oh, Fuzzbuster looks like Elvis for a while.
Enough.
Anyway, yeah.
What a perfect way to depress the world here, people.
Yeah.
So we don't know how the U.S. gets out of this fascist government.
Well, wait 4 years. We'll find out.
And the most important thing.
There's no important things.
2
important
years.
things
Let's make it 2 years, Charles.
2030. You said we got 4 years to go. I'd like to thank all the major bummers out there writing all these dystopian futures so that we never sleep soundly again. Maybe next week we can have a happy, fun show, guys. What do you think? What's on the schedule for next week?
Oh, it's another spy band show because it's the anniversary of the Rosenberg's execution.
Fantastic. I'm Charles.
Oops.
There's Alan.
See ya.
There's T. Mike.
Bye.
And this has been the Rocklopedia Fake Bandica. Thanks for listening.
baby. Rock on.
You've been listening to the Rocklopedia Fake Bandica, a production of the Van Gogh Sketch Comedy Group. The hosts are Alan Benson, T. Mike Childs, and Charles Rempel. Our editors are Alan Benson and Charles Rempel. Please be sure to subscribe to the Rocklopedia on your service of choice so you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear from you, so leave a review or email us at fakebands@vgg.com. And don't forget to visit fakebands.com and the mothership, vgg.com. Thanks for listening.